Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Entertainment Now podcast. My name is Nick.
I am
My
Ian.
name is Ian. What's going on, Ian?
Nothing. I'm
Nothing
tired.
at all. Ian is sleepy, Ian.
Yep. 23 hours awake.
Well, it's your own damn fault for being out so late. Or all night long, I guess.
No, it's not, because I work nights.
Well,
So I got home from work yesterday, and I went to bed like a normal person would when they get home from work. And I slept a normal amount of time that a normal person would sleep, regardless of what their shift is. And then I woke up, and I've got a whole night's sleep. So why would I go back to sleep? You know, I should have stayed up yesterday a little longer. That would have helped.
yes, that would have helped.
But you know what? I just,
It's almost like you haven't been working nights for a long time.
No, I'm just, I just want the world to revolve around me and my schedule rather than me having to revolve around everyone else's schedule.
Well, that's how it always works, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But,
I guess.
what else has been going on, man?
Nothing.
Nothing. I saw this report just actually before we started recording. Let me pull it up real quick. It says that Tina Fey could easily be the next person to run SNL. I actually think that's pretty good. So Lorne Michaels is not going to be running Saturday Night Live much longer.
Well, he's getting too old.
Yeah. So I guess that's the thing that I've always kind of wondered is what happens to Saturday Night Live after he leaves.
Right.
And I guess for a long time I just assumed that they would probably just end Saturday Night Live. I guess when
I don't know.
when
It's kind
he-
of like, it'd be like ending The Tonight Show. Nobody watches The Tonight Show, but they're never going to end it.
I mean, the Tonight Show gets really good ratings.
So does SNL.
But like, I don't know. I guess I just never really considered someone else running it other than Lorne Michaels.
Right.
And like,
Well, no one has ever run it, I don't think.
no. But I guess if I were to pick somebody, I think Tina Fey would be a good choice. I mean, I think obviously she knows Saturday Night Live. She knows how it operates. She knows the ins and outs. I mean, she was on it for long enough.
Correct. I don't know. I mean, it would be someone who's used to being in front of the camera and writing, now being behind the camera and just kind of like approving writing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, yeah, she's quite capable of doing. I just don't know if she'd want to.
And what else is she? I mean, she's,
Because Lauren doesn't write anything.
no.
I mean, he's strictly a producer.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like she obviously can write.
Yeah.
She's written a lot of shit
Right.
over the years. So I guess she would be a benefit on that side of it.
I mean, I guess if she was going to take on a producer and a writing role, sure.
Well, I mean, no. I'm not saying like writing, but like she can be involved like in the process. Maybe not like actually doing the writing, but
Right.
she might be a little bit better. She might be a better person at overseeing the creative process of the show.
Hey, I'm all right. I'm cool with it. I feel that SNL is one of those unique situations where even though it's had the same producer for nearly 50 years, each cast group of actors and writers has brought their own unique left their own unique mark on it. And style, so that you can all, I mean, we've all done it. You pinpoint a period of SNL that appeals to you because of a certain group of actors.
Yes, yeah.
So it's I guess maybe that's what I'm thinking. Not so much the writing side of it is. It's not really an important role. I don't know how much influence other than just being the producer, making sure the budget's on track, and
I don't know.
and
It seems
keeping
like I've always assumed
behind the scenes stuff going.
I've always assumed like the way that people talk about Lorne Michaels that he has a more hands-on approach than I think a lot of people think he
Sometimes,
does.
and then other times I get the impression it's not so much.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
I will say that there was some other big news that came out recently. News that you will be absolutely crushed by, Ian.
Oh, really?
Like, I might have to call the ambulance on you. You're going to just melt out of your chair in sadness. And that is She-Hulk season 2 is not moving forward. She-Hulk has been officially canceled as a
Aw.
series.
I'm not sad, but I'm also like, I would have been okay with the season 2 if it improved.
I think people pretty much unanimously hated the end of that fucking series.
Yeah, well, because it was dumb. It was fucking stupid, is what it was.
And apparently season 1 had a $225 million budget.
For what?
That's exactly.
I mean, they put all that money into the Hulk, into Bruce Banner's Hulk
yeah.
scenes. That's got to be where the money went,
I
because
don't
it
know.
didn't go into anything else.
Well, you figure the entire show was CGI basically, but
No, it wasn't.
a lot of it was.
No, her and him. That's it. And then,
Well,
of course, some of the
yeah.
Wong stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't even see the Abomination. Did we? Maybe once.
Yeah, he was in it.
Well, his character, Tim Roth. We saw Tim Roth.
No,
Did we
you
ever
saw-
see him turn into?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, because it's the scene with him and Wong fighting.
Yeah.
But the rest, I mean, it's like single sets, and I mean, it's just her talking at the fucking camera.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I was really looking forward to She-Hulk.
Right.
I thought it had a lot of promise, and the first couple of episodes, I think, went off okay.
Right.
I was never like blown away by the series. I thought she did a good job. I thought the comedy aspect of it was okay
To a point.
and then like the last like 2 episodes, like it completely went off the fucking rails.
Oh yeah. What I was hoping for was essentially a Marvel or an MCU legal drama with She-Hulk and Daredevil. Because you got 2 lawyer characters who are superheroes on the side,
Yeah.
and they could have done so much with that. It could have been serious, it could have been dark. You could still add the humor to it, but it could have been something great.
Yeah.
Instead it was a fucking joke.
And unfortunately, it makes me wonder where they're going to go with Daredevil Born Again.
They've already revamped what they were doing with Daredevil.
Oh, did they?
Yes. They announced that they're mostly canonizing the Netflix version of Daredevil
Good.
to
They
blend in.
They should.
To,
They should.
yeah. Because have you watched Echo yet?
I have not.
Okay, I watched.
I have not heard good things about it.
It was okay. I liked it. I didn't have a problem with it. It was the scale's a little. I mean, it's the scope, not the scale. The scope is a little. I don't know what the word is. I mean, it's small. It's because it all kind of just takes place in one little town. I don't know. I had no problem with it. It's definitely not my favorite. I almost don't feel like it is even really. It wasn't necessary.
And that's
we'll
the
say
thing then that's what a lot of the reviews have
So
been on it.
it is necessary for one particular element,
Yeah.
and that's the Kingpin character.
Yes.
That's it.
And you don't need
don't-
to have Echo for that.
Right. And then you get the complaints. I did see one video where the complaint was Echo was there just to as a woke thing for deaf people,
Yeah.
which I don't buy that, but
No, no, not at all. But
and I don't think it detracted from the story. I think it's well done for that in representing a deaf character. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. It's one of those shows I just don't feel like other than like 2 things, it's completely just
yeah,
forgettable.
and that's kind of
but not bad.
that's kind of odd for an MCU TV show because they've all been like integral into what like the overarching theme or they all play a major role in what that phase is.
Right.
And from what I'm reading about Echo, that's not really the case with Echo.
No, and other than where the Kingpin character is going to go.
Yeah.
And which we know is Daredevil
Yes.
initially.
Yes.
But I've also heard rumor that they might try to expand the Kingpin character a bit into Spider-Man, perhaps.
I hope they don't.
Well, I mean, he's a Daredevil villain. He's also a Spider-Man villain.
He is.
So if they do a crossover, and they already had Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home,
Yeah.
So I mean, you could do a crossover. It would not be hard.
Yeah.
And Vincent D'Onofrio is killing it as Kingpin, regardless of what you think about Echo. If you hate Echo, Vincent D'Onofrio is still killing it as Kingpin. And he was a highlight in Daredevil. I think he's one of the reasons why that show was good.
Absolutely. I will say that I didn't realize something until just recently. And maybe I did know it, but I forgot about it. I was just watching the first Captain America movie because I just got it on Blu-ray last week. I completely forgot, or maybe I didn't know, that there's one line in that movie that brings Indiana Jones into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
What line is it?
So there's a line referencing, so Red Skull makes some comment about Hitler digging around in the desert for buried treasure.
Okay. But he did do that in real life.
I know that, but it's a nod to
but that was
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
But that was pre-Lucasfilm purchase. So.
Yes. Well, yeah. He doesn't mention Indiana Jones or anything like that, but it's that comment. And when I was watching it again, I had to have known about it before because I remember having this discussion before. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of draws on Raiders of the Lost Ark. But.
Correct. Yeah. If they made Indiana Jones canon in the MCU,
no, they would not.
I would say that's a worse idea than having transdimensional space aliens at the end of an Indiana Jones movie.
No, that was definitely just like a nod, I think, to that franchise.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of funny. I guess DC is moving ahead with Supergirl.
Yes. Well, Supergirl, they've got a plan. And whether or not the plan works, I don't know. James Gunn is running it, all of it. But they're essentially in their phase one. They're starting their phase one, which they should have done 10 fucking years ago. Yeah. But Superman Legacy is going to start filming soon. It's rumored that the Supergirl character will be in it.
They are doing test screenings this week for the character.
I saw that, but I saw it as a rumor. I didn't see that as official.
Oh, no, they're never going to officially announce anything. But
not until they're hired. But I mean,
apparently Millie Alcock is one of the people that is.
Yeah, she was one of the names listed.
Which I think she'd be perfect for the role. She did a great fucking job in House of the Dragon.
Yes, she's a good actress, but I don't see her as Supergirl. I'm sorry.
I think it'll work. I think it'll work better than Madam Web with fucking
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, Dakota Johnson.
Perhaps. I have no idea what to think of Madam Web.
I don't have very high expectations for that movie.
Oh, we'll see.
I might be wrong. It does look like Ahsoka season 2 is going to happen.
Yeah.
Which there for a while I wasn't sure. I haven't watched it
I don't think anyone was really sure except for maybe like Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
So here's the problem with that, though, is that announcement came out shortly after they said that the Rey movie was being put on hold indefinitely in lieu of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and then just 2 days...
Which is going to be directed by Jon Favreau.
But then like 2 or 3 days later, they were talking about how the Rey movie is going to come out in 2026, 2025, 2026
So did they push it back a year? Is that all they did then?
No, I can't remember the exact date, but whatever the date was, it was the same date it was originally scheduled for.
Okay.
So I don't know. I can't see them not doing a season 2 of Ahsoka. But there's also the thing that Dave Filoni's standalone movie, it's not really a standalone movie because it's all part of the same universe or same era and connected story tissues. But that was planned to be coming out after the Rey movie. But now they're throwing another movie in there and not even talking about Dave Filoni's movie. Yeah. Then they're talking about delaying the Rey movie, which I'm okay with them delaying it. I think it could have been good, and it could be good, but it's a low bar because it's coming off of episodes 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, which I'm one of the people that enjoyed ish. I guess I enjoyed a chunk of the last trilogy, but
So I'm going to say something nice-ish about the sequel trilogy. There are elements in all three of the movies that I like, and if I was going to rewrite the trilogy personally, I would make sure that those elements were in my trilogy. So there are good things in those movies, just not enough to be movies in and of themselves. So
I would agree. I had big issues with all three of them, but I don't think the issues I had really detract all that much from at least from the first one. I had bigger issues with the second movie.
Yeah.
And I know you had bigger issues than I did with the third movie.
I don't know. I thought I had bigger issues with the second one than you did.
No, because I didn't like the whole her like floating in space and all that stupid shit.
But see, I can overlook that.
I know that's
I can't overlook how they basically destroyed Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
because it's not consistent. I don't care how many years it's been.
Yeah,
fucking Yoda and Obi-Wan had the same level of at least integrity in the sequel in the original trilogy as they were portrayed in the prequels, and there's a 30-year gap there. Why did Luke Skywalker, who's supposed to be the hero of the fucking series, why does he fall apart?
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. Not that way. I can see him falling apart in different ways because he had a shitty fucking life. He got dealt a really bad hand. But not the way he did.
Being a mushroom farmer, that's a shit.
It's a moisture farmer.
Oh, the moisture, that's what it was.
He had to pick his his grandmother died while picking mushrooms off the moisture collectors.
Okay. Gotcha.
She was kidnapped by the Sand People doing that. That's my biggest fucking problem.
Yeah.
And then because of that, J.J. Abrams had to come in and fix everything that he fucked up in the first place by not having a goddamn fucking plan.
Well, there seems to be at least some kind of plan, it sounds like, but we'll see.
I think they need to just let the sequel trilogy go. Just be done with it.
That's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
100% not going to happen.
It's not, but it should. Just fucking let it go. It didn't fucking happen. What they're doing right now with the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew, they can do whatever they want from that point. If they get rid of that trilogy, they don't even have to get rid of it. They can just call it Legends, just like they did with the fucking books. Call it fucking Legends, push it to the side, and just go from where you're at.
Yeah.
Don't stress about recasting. You need to recast. You need to recast Luke Skywalker. You need to recast Leia. You need to recast Han Solo. Well, you don't. You just use Alden Ehrenreich, but there's a bad taste in everyone's mouth because of that. But you recast those three characters. You've already got fucking Lando. Just go from here. You don't need a sequel trilogy. You can do movies. You can continue the series.
That's the thing is, and I think that's where they've kind of gone wrong, is you don't necessarily have to move forward with what you're doing. You can move out.
And
you can move backwards. There are so many other things. You don't need to progress this story and what you're doing into the future.
Why not? This is the story.
You don't have to, is what I'm saying.
Right,
though.
and they're not. Everything they've done, other than the sequel trilogy,
they did with the sequel trilogy, and that's what I'm saying.
Right,
is that's where they went wrong.
No, they went wrong by hiring fucking J.J. Abrams in the first fucking place.
But I don't think, regardless, they were ever going to make a trilogy sequel or a sequel trilogy that was going to go in the right direction, regardless of what they did. Well, because they were trying to build storylines off of characters from 30 years ago.
Why does that matter, though?
If
you have decent writers, they can do that.
Hold on. That didn't want to be fucking involved in it.
Well,
Han Solo, Harrison Ford did not want to do that fucking movie.
Right. And his character died. He got what he wanted.
So why even put him in there?
And if I was going to write it, I would have killed him too. I would have killed him even if he didn't want to die.
Yeah.
because he's not that important of a character.
But what I'm saying though is like with the lineage and all the other aspects to that Star Wars universe, you didn't necessarily have to go in that direction.
No,
You've got gaps in time
true.
that you could explore with a trilogy movie, and not necessarily have to tie it directly to Luke Skywalker.
Correct. But at some point you have to go back to that character because
Yeah.
his journey did not stop with fucking
No,
Return of the Jedi.
No, and we know that.
Because in real life, nobody just, the war's over, we're done. It just doesn't fucking work. Life goes on, and shit fucking happens.
No, in the storyline, he goes, the job's done. I'm going to go into hiding for
which is
30
stupid
years.
because the war wasn't really even fucking over.
No, I know.
And this whole idea,
It was to him.
yeah, and that's my point. That's another reason. Like,
He's like,
they're
I'm
kind of
done. I'm out.
I feel like they're attempting to not double down on that, but at the same time they're starting to double down on that. Because that's you hear other talking head YouTubers talking. They're
because we're not talking head YouTubers.
well, that's what I'm saying. I was being facetious to ourselves as well, saying things like, "Well, Luke Skywalker doesn't have to be there because he's off trying to restart the jet." No.
Yeah.
Why would he just abandon the whole fucking universe like that?
It doesn't make sense.
Yes, that's the thing. They had literally volumes and volumes of stories in the books that I'm not saying they needed to do the books. That's not what I'm saying because that'd be silly. But there's so much there. They could have plucked story ideas out of, which is actually what Dave Filoni's fucking doing now, successfully, I might add.
But
and done exactly what they should have done in the first fucking place.
Kind of going back to what I was saying though is like, I think that's where they went wrong. Like if they were to do a trilogy of movies, they could have done anything else. They could have done, like I said before, there's like gaps in time throughout the timeline. They could have done a different trilogy. And then once they kind of figured everything out, and saw what they could do and where they would go wrong over that trilogy, then try to tackle a sequel trilogy.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Instead of going from, they did a couple of one-off movies, now let's do this series.
I mean, it's kind of what they did, but they didn't do it quite in that order.
Yeah.
So here's the problem with that, though.
Because then they got everything fucking wrong in the sequel trilogy.
True. Yeah.
Where they would have learned those mistakes early on, where maybe it wouldn't have been so obvious because you're not necessarily tying things to such beloved characters.
Right. I don't know, though. I agree with you, I think, but there's no way they could have done that because they paid $4 billion for that franchise.
They were going to do it that
for
way,
Lucasfilm. They were not. They were going to give us a fucking Star Wars movie, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it was going to have Luke Skywalker. It was going to have Princess Leia. It was going to have Han Solo.
Yes.
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, as someone who grew up with that shit, that's all I wanted to see too.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have gone and seen it with the name Star Wars on it if it was just. I probably would have gone and seen a fucking Wookiee movie where no one speaks English. It's all just growling through the whole fucking
It's
thing.
all subtitles.
I would have paid for that movie. I would have fucking hated it, but I would have paid for it. So, that being said, they could have done it, but I knew they would. There's no way they would have done it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the sequel trilogy is what has hurt Star Wars.
Yeah.
To the extent that almost every fucking thing that comes out, people just shit on it because the brand is tainted.
Because they expect it. They expect it to be bad.
Right. And the brand is tainted because of it.
Yeah. And that's why I said because they started out on a bad foot.
Right.
They because of the issues in that trilogy is why they get all the negativity literally for everything that
even the good stuff
is released. Absolutely.
Because I mean, let's face it. I mean, with the exception of The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, those are hugely critically acclaimed and fan acclaimed. There's no question. The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 are fan favorites.
Absolutely.
Rogue One is mostly a fan favorite. Andor is a fan favorite, but it didn't have any crossover.
Yeah.
That's where it hurt. Yeah. And actually, that's the most critically acclaimed of all the Star Wars that Disney has done. Yeah. I don't know if I go that far, but I really like Andor. I think Andor is great. And that's kind of in tune with what you're talking about. Doing something that there's no fucking Jedi, there's no lightsabers.
Well, no, I think they could. It could be just loosely tied to characters. Not
that's what Rogue One is.
Yes,
you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And they did a great fucking job with Rogue One.
Yeah, it's my favorite movie that Disney's done.
Yeah.
And I know I'm in the minority here, but my second favorite is Solo.
I loved Solo.
And I don't like the sequel trilogy at all, so it's not even in the rating. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're all right movies, but they're not great movies by themselves. Yeah. Much less part of this trilogy.
Yeah.
So, all of that being said, if they were to just do that one thing, just say, you know what, we misstepped with the trilogy, with the sequel trilogy. We're going to make it Legends.
Yeah.
It's there for the people who like it. It's out of the canon though, and that's done. They have pretty much carte blanche for anything they want to do going forward.
Yeah.
Period. Because Ben Solo has not been mentioned in any of the Mandalorian stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a clean slate. And even if they did want to bring the Emperor back, which they did in the Legends stuff,
yeah,
they could do it right. You know, not just throw him in at the end and say, "Hey, it was me all along."
Yes. Yeah.
Fuck that. That's bad writing, and it's because of fucking J.J. Abrams.
I wouldn't say it was cheap, but it felt cheap
because it's bad writing.
Yeah.
You know, it's done by people who are idea people. They're corporate. It's a corporate thing. We got great ideas. Now do it.
Yeah.
And it without any planning, without any resources, they just okay. I like this idea of this Snoke character who's kind of guiding everything.
Yeah, let's toss him in for like 30 seconds, basically.
Right. We'll give him this mystery vibe that we don't need to worry about. We'll let somebody else figure that out in other movies.
Yeah.
That is not how you make a trilogy. Yeah. A trilogy is connected. It's planned.
Yeah.
If you're just making a movie and then you're going to move on to the sequel, sure, fine. You could do that.
And I think that's the one thing where you can look at the original trilogy and look at the prequel trilogy. As much as people shit on the prequel trilogy movies, they're actually pretty decent movies. I agree. I have issues with.
Of course, they're not perfect.
They're not perfect movies. It is a far superior trilogy than the sequel trilogy,
right. At least in writing.
Yes, but if you look at the prequel trilogy, there was uniformity across those three movies. There was a plan across those three movies. There was a lot of threads from one movie to the next, right. And there was not the sequel trilogy. As much as I probably enjoy those movies more than probably a lot of other people do, it still feels very disjointed. It feels very like there's not a smooth transition from one movie to the next, like there were with the original trilogy and with the prequel trilogy.
Right. So with the prequel trilogy, that thread is basically George Lucas because he's writing, directing.
Yes.
He's in charge of. I mean,
everything.
He's always in charge of everything.
Yeah.
But he's literally doing everything. But that cohesion still exists with the original trilogy, and he only directed one of those.
Yeah.
So,
but he was hands-on involved
exactly.
with
He's still
literally fucking everything with all three of those.
Yeah,
movies.
he's still the connective tissue. But my point. I'm making that point because you could still have had different directors doing episodes 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
But you needed someone in there to guide the story.
To guide the vision.
Right. And J.J. Abrams was essentially hired to do that with the idea that he would direct one movie and then guide the trilogy. And he directed that movie and then said, I'm done.
Yeah.
You go and do whatever you want. Because that's what he fucking does. Yeah. Everything he's ever touched has been that way. Yeah. So, I don't know. Except for Star Trek. He seems to keep sticking his fucking nose in goddamn Star Trek. Now they're talking about doing another fucking J.J. Abrams fucking Star Trek.
My question is, if you're Disney, and maybe it was George Lucas, if you're Disney and you've got billions of dollars you just paid for a property, and you have all this money and reputation riding on it, why didn't they have George Lucas come in and run that fucking trilogy?
I don't know. He handed them the outline for all 3 fucking movies.
Yeah.
He gave them 7, 8, and 9.
Why would
They said, no, we're going to go in a different direction because the prequels were not popular.
Yeah.
And we're gonna hold you personally responsible for that, so we don't want your name attached.
Well, that was fucking dumb.
Of course, it was. And that's Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, George fucking hired. So, I mean, it does fall on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy is a producer. That is it. That's
Yeah.
all she's ever been, a producer. She is not capable of running a fucking studio, and she is not capable of making creative decisions.
Yeah.
Because that's not what her fucking job description
And I will
should
say
be.
that she hasn't made good decisions so
No.
far.
Even as a producer, she hasn't made
Yeah.
good decisions. But
Yeah.
she should not be making creative decisions.
Yeah.
Because that is not what a fucking producer does.
Because, I mean, just on a pure, business sense, if you are company X and you spend billions of dollars buying company A, and your reputation is going to be put to the test with what you do with company A.
And you want that company A to maintain its value.
Yes. Why would you not utilize the people that have been running company A for 40 fucking years?
Right. And they didn't.
They did not.
Kathleen Kennedy's connection to Lucasfilm is strictly through the Indiana Jones movies.
Yes.
And she wasn't even the only fucking producer on those movies.
Yes. Yeah, no.
George Lucas was a producer.
Yes.
Her husband, not Gary Marshall, the other Marshall, his brother. They were and Steven Spielberg. She was like a 4th rung producer on those 4 movies. And she was, I don't know if she was brought in as a favor, like George promised her something down the road. I don't know. Maybe she blackmailed him. I don't know. But she is not a studio head. And if she wants to be a studio head, she needs to keep her fucking nose out of the fucking creative process.
Yeah.
And like you said, bring in people who know the fucking property.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni has been with Lucasfilm since 2008.
Yes.
That's 4 years before Disney bought it. He had already had a huge success with the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
When they brought him on, they gave him another own show that he created. Not Clone Wars was created by George Lucas.
Yeah.
And he ran it. They let him create Rebels, and Rebels was hugely successful.
Absolutely was.
And he proved himself right there. They should have at least had him sit in and help them plan the fucking trilogy.
Yeah.
And then we wouldn't have this problem. But like I said, it would be a very simple thing. They just make the fucking sequel trilogy Legends. Like I said, it doesn't go anywhere. It's still there for everyone to watch anytime they want. And no one has to worry about what storylines they want to work with now.
Yeah.
And just say, okay, 7, 8, 9 are Legends. That's it. From this point on, nothing gets done without a fucking plan, and everything going forward in the film and television and animated area is strictly canon. Everything outside of that is not.
Yeah. But I
It
mean,
would be that simple. And I think Star Wars could fix itself.
it's not going to happen though.
No.
And it's not going to.
You know why? Because of Kathleen Kennedy. I think if she left and you get a different head of Lucasfilm in there, they could do it.
No, I think you almost have to move, regardless of what happens, you're going to get some kind of Rey trilogy.
Right.
Because
it could still be Legends.
Yeah, because of how popular, even though those movies aren't necessarily very popular, characters within those movies are very popular.
Those are some of the things that I would have kept.
Yeah.
Rey is not a bad character.
No.
She was poorly written, but she's not a bad character.
I don't even know if she was really poorly. I wouldn't necessarily say she's poorly written. I will say
her arc was poorly written.
I would say the situations that in the movie were poorly written.
Right. But Daisy Ridley is quite capable of. She proved herself in those movies. She's a good actress.
Yeah.
And I like the character of Rey most of the time. Finn is another character, but again, dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Because he had so much fucking potential.
Absolutely. There was no growth in that character.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Poe was originally written to die.
Yeah.
In episode 7. Oscar Isaac came in and did a great job, and they decided to keep him alive.
Yeah.
Fine. He's the Han Solo. He's the character that he's the comic relief. He's there to basically to support the other two characters.
Yes.
That's fine. He can stay because I like that. I like the character. But he becomes more than that.
Yeah.
Like, it's too jokey. I don't know.
They took what should have been like aspects of his personality and made it the dominating aspects of his personality.
I mean, they could have made him a fucking carbon copy of Han Solo for all I care.
Yeah.
He would have been a better rounded character then.
Yeah.
Rather than just comic relief.
Yeah.
Finn was the most devastating character failure other than Luke Skywalker,
Yeah.
I think, because his potential is just thrown away.
Yeah, and you could have, like I said,
from episode 8 on.
you could have gone in so many different directions with his character,
Right.
and it went fucking literally nowhere. Nowhere. He was an afterthought.
Pretty much. And I mean, it's funny because Rian Johnson made Finn the afterthought from J.J. Abrams, and then J.J. Abrams made Rose the afterthought from Rian Johnson.
Yes.
And they're two very connected characters in episode 8.
Yeah.
That's another character. I didn't have a problem with her. I thought she was a decent character in the right circumstances with the right people writing it.
Yeah.
She would have been fine.
Absolutely.
And I should point out that I don't think that Rian Johnson is a bad filmmaker or writer. I think J.J. Abrams is a bad writer.
Yeah.
For sure.
You've always had problems with it, with his stuff, though.
Only because when you are taking on a project, when you say to the people who are going to be paying the money to watch the project that project you don't like, and you're doing it because you want to do it different.
Yeah.
Because you don't like it. That's what he did with Star Trek.
Yeah. He took it as I can do this in my own creative kind of way instead of like trying to create a good Star Trek movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wanted to make a blockbuster rather than making a good Star Trek movie.
Yes.
And like I said,
and you
can
do both. You can do both.
Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Is a perfect First Contact. Those are the two highest grossing movies. Well, technically, Voyage Home's grossed higher than Wrath of Khan, but I don't count that because I don't like fucking whales. But
that was a really weird movie, by the way. Like, to go back and watch, it really is kind of weird.
It's still hugely popular.
I know it
amongst
is.
the fan
I know
base.
it is.
Not for me. It's like my third least favorite.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, and I think that's not just a Lucasfilm or a Disney problem. I don't think studios know what the fuck they're doing right now in any area, and all of them are fucking up on their streaming level mostly because they don't know how to fucking make money off of streaming. Because unless it's your bread and butter like Netflix, and you're going to charge a lot of money for it because Netflix is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
You're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to put $200 to $400 million into a season of a show. You know, if season 1 of She-Hulk had been the same but at half the budget, there's no reason they wouldn't have made a second season. Disney wouldn't be hurting right now.
I think I look at it this way. I think this is where Disney needs to go with the MCU. I think it's where they need to go with Star Wars, and I'm sure you won't agree with this, and a lot of people out there probably won't agree with it either. I think they need to stop doing TV shows. I think you need to go back to what you were good at.
Right.
If those stories are good enough to make a TV show out of, make a 3-hour fucking movie. Make a 2.5-hour fucking movie.
Yeah.
And just fucking make it.
I'm not opposed to that, and I think I personally think that there's a place for both TV shows and movies.
You're right,
but
yeah,
they have to have a plan. And with Marvel, I know they have a plan.
yeah.
If they'd stop firing their fucking actors, they would have an even better plan. But it's with Star Wars specifically, because that's where my knowledge really truly is.
Yeah.
With Star Wars, if they had a fucking plan and had the right people execute that plan, I'm not and stop trying to be something you're not.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I think they both need to stop, and DC also focus on making movies.
Well, DC's that's all they're doing.
That's all they do, and that's fine. And I think it's the correct way to go. You could do a TV show like, Shield, or something. But it seems like what they've done over the last several years, really since the pandemic started, is it seems like they're supplementing their movies by doing these TV shows, and I think it ends up dragging the product down.
It could. It could be.
I think Mandalorian would have made a better fucking movie. And depending on how that Mandalorian movie worked, and I'm sure it would have done just fine. Instead of doing season 2, you can do another Mandalorian movie.
Right. Well, I think that's what season 4 has become, is a movie.
Okay. Well, and that's good. I think that's the correct direction for them to go with that. And it's the same thing with She-Hulk. I think She-Hulk probably would have worked better and been better received as a movie than the crazy disgrace of a TV show it ended up being.
Well, I mean, there would have to be some significant element changes to that for that to work. It's not. I don't think it's the fact that She-Hulk was too long. I think it was just poorly written.
Oh yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. Is there's only like 6 episodes in a season.
Right.
Hawkeye could have been a standalone movie.
Yeah, maybe.
But then again, people are saying the opposite with the Marvels. People are saying, well, Marvels should have been a TV show, and I actually think the Marvels is a good movie, but
I haven't seen it yet, so I can't say.
But I guess we kind of we had a whole topic we were going to talk about. I guess we'll talk about that next week. But
maybe, yeah.
Any questions or comments, you can email us at entnowpod@gmail.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will say that I forgot to say at the beginning, we are recording this in person, so we won't have video up, but I'll have audio up on the YouTube channel. So give us a thumbs up and all that YouTube-y kind of stuff.
Yeah, do it.
Do it, motherfucker, do it. Well, that's all I got, man. Anything else to add?
Nope.
All right. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you two cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, the niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub, hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.
Oh shit. Watch out, you the car, Billy. Oh shit. Right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch. With a gold smile, you should probably make placement to your eye. Niggas sick as fuck. Standing with niggas who down for that party. Who down for some bitches who showing their bodies. Swear to God, nigga, this Molly got me up and rolling. These bodies of water. Bring that shit in bottles.